Welcome to the Brothers and Sisters podcast. This is what's coming up next, so stay tuned.
Can I ask a question that was in your bio?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about this for a while. Go ahead.
And I mean this so respectfully, but I just adore this line that you used, and I just want you to get into it. You said you were actively homosexual.
Yeah.
And I want to hear all about that. I read that. Quasi sent that to me, and I was like, I will die if we don't discuss this.
We're back with I actually did it write-up, and it sounded funny. You know how you have like interviews? I was like, this is a one-on-one interview, like because there's 6 of us normally. I was like, this is our 6-on-1, but it sounded too like dirty and graphic. So like I tried not to that, right? It's like, oh, we go 6-on-1 with Dr. Arrow. We're back with this week's guest, Ranty. I said you. I don't know if you were being nice when I said Olawase, if that was correct or not.
It's actually no. That's actually pretty good. Like the fact that you got the difference between the first and the second O is perfect.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. That's good stuff. We're gonna talk about. We're actually gonna combine a bunch of the things that we're gonna talk about politically because Ranty's pretty on top. He's a political kind of sort of pundit, observer, whatever you want to call it. It's actually how we met in the Hillary campaign, which you saw him roll his eyes at earlier early in the podcast. We're gonna talk about some pride stuff and other things also. First, New York, 10 years in New York, 8 years in New York, 8 to 10 years in New York. Talk about your journey from Lagos to New York.
Okay, so my dad has lived in New York for close to 40 years, apparently. And, while I grew up, he lived here and I grew up with my mom and my sister, primarily. So I've always kind of been connected to New York. I actually first visited in 2011. Which is when I got my green card. It apparently would have been a lot sooner, but my dad was busy with an affair because Nigerian men.
I've heard such things. Yes, I've heard such things. I've heard such things. Yes. One, maybe
but
2 things.
I made it in 2011, which also happened to be the year when I finally realized that I liked dudes. And so when I first visited, I had just begun my first relationship, actually. And, by the second time I visited next year, we had broken up. And so that's when and now I really explored, what was out in New York. And then I ended up moving here in 2013. It wasn't really planned the way I moved here. Even though I had, even though I had my green card at that point, I was still going back and forth because I was in school back there. And so school had gone out because the lecturers went on strike, which is a thing that they do like every year. Yeah, because the federal government won't pay them.
I was gonna say, yeah. Nigerian government. I was gonna say, but I don't want to.
So I ended up coming to visit. It was supposed to be a 6-week visit. And at that point in my life back in Nigeria, I was in my 3rd year. I was like in a very big depressive funk because, I realized I had gotten really embittered by, just the way that the Nigerian society was, and, just how conservative everyone is. Mm-hmm. But I would say hypocritical, but that usually goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Sure. Yeah.
But, so when I came in 2013, I eventually ended up having to live here on And it was rough for the first couple of months, just because family drama, clashes with my parents, and it was my first winter here, and that was rough. Like, I remember that year was like 6 feet of snow on the ground, and there was like 2 or 3 polar vortexes. Anyway, it was a rough one the first couple of years.
And Autumn and I were in New York at that time too. I remember the vortex for sure, and all the snow and how fucking cold it was all the time.
New York life isn't hard enough.
Like, even to this day, I tell myself every year, I think, it's gonna get easier. I'm gonna get used to winter. I don't.
No.
I still hate the cold. I do. I still hate the cold.
It gets worse every year.
How did
It does. But then, no, it's, yes.
I was gonna say, you talked about coming out. We talked about Nigerian society. Obviously, you had to tell your parents, like, how was that?
So I never actually told them per se, but it's kind of funny because it was something that I never went to any efforts to hide. My first boyfriend, who I mentioned earlier, was around the house a lot. But he was just considered to be like a best friend or something. But eventually my mom did catch on and was starting to ask me questions like, who exactly is this guy? And then, after moving here, I felt even freer, and I didn't try and, conceal it in any way. So of course, naturally they suspected and would confront me about it, but I wouldn't confirm or deny it, which is as good as confirming it. So now it's like kind of the elephant in the room that's kind of there but not there. It's weird, but
Can I ask a question that was in your bio?
yes.
Yeah, we talked about this for a while. Go ahead.
And I mean this
I know
so
what you're gonna ask.
respectfully, but I just adore this line that you used, and I just want you to get into it. You said you were actively homosexual.
Yeah.
And I want to hear all about that. I read that. Quasi sent that to me, and I was like, I will die if we don't discuss this. Please tell me what that means.
I like to use that term because it sounds kind of funny, but like it's but yes, it has been 10 years since I realized. And I say realize because for most people it's like they just find out early, or like they in some cases they have like elder people or family members kind of do stuff against their consent. But luckily for me, I was not in any of those cases. I was practically like asexual till 18. And in the space of 1 month, I went from no sexual contact or no conscious thoughts, because they were there. They were pretty obviously there. I think other people kind of caught on before I did. But it's literally like one day light came on in my head. So it's like, oh, well, no, I had friends. I had met friends who at that point were already like acting themselves. So my best friend at the time literally asked me, I was like, hey, do you like guys or do you like girls? And in Nigeria at the time, gay wasn't really a thing that like existed. So everything was gay, but nothing was.
I see what you're saying.
It's like Greenwich, Connecticut.
It's like, for example, in retrospect, like I remember one day in secondary school, I would sit on my friend's lap in class in front of everyone, and nobody just said anything about that. And to me, it was just normal. And back then, like I said, the gay wasn't a thing. Like it wasn't even like in the realm of possibility, kind of. Yeah. So a lot of things like that were just normal. Until about 2014, which is a year after I left, Because you know how the politicians do when they need a distraction or a boogeyman, and especially because like all the gay marriage stuff was happening here, so they decided to run in the other direction and criminalize homosexuality for 14 years.
Wow.
And so that whipped up a lot of like anti-gay sentiment and panic, and there were reports of like people getting dragged out of their beds, or people suspected, like, which is funny to me because like, how do you suspect someone of homosexuality? Unless they're actively,
Yeah.
homosexual.
So can I ask you a follow-up question?
Yes.
Trying to be actively heterosexual, the world doesn't agree with me. How have you found dating during COVID? I think it would be interesting for us all to share our journeys during our COVID experience.
Dating during COVID. I mean,
I know.
I don't even know what to say. My dating life has usually been kind of like dead. So during COVID, it was extra dead.
Yes. True story.
It's true.
It's a dry girl summer. It's just dry.
Well, sure. But yeah, dating during COVID, I wasn't actively trying to date, but it's what it is. Now I'm actually trying to date more, but for a while I pretty much was not into dating or relationships or anything. So
I would encourage, I should have tagged all you guys on your Facebook page to be like, look at how this man is fucking doing it or whatever.
Can we talk about your nutrition plan, by the way?
So that's what I was gonna say. He's definitely on the Walter Sellers, like,
Right.
Yes.
yeah.
They are. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you eat carbs? Like, seriously.
You're not
Do you eat carbs?
I do a lot of them. I love Jamaican food.
So
Like,
you
I
eat
pretty much
carbs?
survive. Yes, I pretty much survive on Jamaican food. Lots of rice and peas over here.
So let's be clear.
So you
This
split.
is
Is that
this coach coming out right now. Carbs are okay.
Yes,
You can
carbs
eat
are good.
carbs. It's okay. All right. It's everything else that you're eating with the fucking carbs.
Listen, you need to mind your business about what I'm eating with my carbs, okay? That's not this podcast.
That's not your concern.
Okay? Don't concern yourself.
Here's the science.
I had a tangerine today. Thank you.
Here's the science. Protein is 3 parts. Fat is 9 parts. Carbs is 6 parts. So obviously you want to stay away from the fats. And it takes less amount of carbs to give you the same amount of calories as it does for protein. So theoretically, if you have 20 grams of carbs, it's going to be a big amount, but you can have 25 or 30 grams of protein.
Hey, no, don't give him no
Coach,
more.
we can't afford you. Don't give for us.
No more, no.
So the
I'm on a retro.
I mean, I was listening.
Okay,
I'll take the tips.
So listen, and it also is, how much are you working out? Do you even work out?
Okay, so I'll be honest, and I'll say when I'm actively working out, because I go in and out of it, I'll do like 3-month spurts where I'm like really focused and I'm in the gym. And even when I'm in those spurts, the most I go is twice a week, honestly. But I make sure that when I'm there, I'm like.
And there's something else that your ladies aren't looking at. He
What's
has
that?
testosterone.
I
You
was
have
saying,
estrogen.
this is also
There's
because
a difference.
testosterone for sure.
That
Yeah.
matters, right? Testosterone is a fat burner. It's
So,
a natural thing.
Yeah.
So when it's funny, so when Ranty is like, Nicole was like actively homosexual, and I was like, yeah, and then like, I showed him like your pictures and stuff like that.
Hold on, I gotta take it off.
I literally couldn't think of anything else other than like the scene in Boiler Room. I don't know if you guys have seen it, where like they're in the restaurant and like there's a group of gay men, and like they're in a back and forth, and like they're like, I wish they would put you fag F words like on an island someplace, and the gay men respond, "They did, honey, and you're on it." They're like in Manhattan or whatever.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine
lines from that.
like literally, and I mean, you know where I'm coming from. I mean, no offense or anything like it, dude. Your Facebook page is literally like that. This man is on like yachts, like with champagne going crazy.
It was in
Talking
both.
all sorts of things, just living his best life. And I'm like, now that I got your
wasn't yours.
background, now that I got your background, Ranty, I knew you were Nigerian, but it's not like it's one of those things like you came out recently within the last 10 years or whatever. So you go from that kind of repressive Nigerian background to fucking New York City, where like it's not like it's a little bit different, right?
It's a lot different.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, it was very liberating. For a while there, like after I visited the first and the second time, I was like obsessed with New York, and I wanted nothing more than to be back. And
It'll do that to you.
Nowadays I'm not so crazy about it, but I
also do that to you.
I still don't know where else I would live though, honestly.
Sure.
Delaware. Live in Delaware. Cost of living, easy access to all of the big cities.
Walter is running. He's eventually running for office in Delaware, so he's got to plug Delaware. Nobody's not trying to go to Delaware.
I'm just telling you, the president of the United States is from Delaware.
I guess
If
he
I
is.
go outside at 2 a.m. and walk outside my house to get me a blunt wrap, it's
Yeah.
more for me.
Yeah.
You don't have to
I
know.
like being able
Pop on,
to
get one.
yeah,
Get
whatever you
one,
need,
right?
whenever you need it.
And there's no sales tax.
Oh,
No sales tax. Our property tax
I'm sure they'll get it back somehow.
$150 for the year.
So
I'm just saying.
So with that, so it's been 10 years, you said, since you officially came out. With this being said, I want to get your opinion or what pride means to you. Then we'll transition into some of the other political topics we're going to talk to also. But I want to make sure I get this from you. What are you thinking about pride?
So what pride means to me is it's always been kind of about being there's something it's rebellious. It's like saying that, we are queer and we are here in a society that sometimes, most times, does not want you there. And, it has even more meaning if you're from a place like Nigeria, where I couldn't, be as like gay and abrasive as I get to be nowadays. On my Facebook, would know. I'm like,
like the hell? Like this guy's real? Like the fuck is he in real? Like this, like.
So yeah, it's an act of like rebellion. It's about being in your face. It's about celebrating the things that make you different. It's about self-love and self-determination.
Yeah. Well said. So let's transition to some of the stuff that I know you're. First of all, like I said, we met doing Hillary stuff. And now you're like a full-fledged, like you're to the left of like the online burners, like or whatever. Like, how to talk about that transition?
I wouldn't say I'm on the level of those guys, because those guys, well, maybe, but those guys are just crazy. But I will say that since 2016, a lot of things have happened that have definitely made me, I don't want to say radical, but more like way less moderate, because I think we've seen that moderation hasn't really done anyone any good in this new political environment. not the moderate Democrats and not the moderate Republicans. And now it's not only about having the conviction to get the things that you want from the system, but it's about having the balls to, use power when you have it to make those things happen. Now, the folks on the right, they have both. They have moral conviction. They swear to God that, this is the right thing to do. And those motherfuckers are not afraid to shake some shit up and break some shit down. And hell, what is the law? What is the rule of law to achieve their ends? And I've realized, like, yeah, in this new era that we are in, that you gotta do what's necessary.
I can't co-sign, right?
Yeah, I can't either. It's funny because I immerse myself in the right, and they say the same thing about the left. They're like, the left
It's
is
true.
organized,
And they actually believe it. But they believe that. And the thing about the left is, the left has all the left has the megaphone, right? They have the culture on lock, but the actual political power remains in the hands of the right. And so they get to do all the things.
Only for one reason. Because the minority has a big voice.
Yeah.
You eliminate the filibuster, or reform the filibuster, so that they've got to stand for something and not just be against it to be against it. Then it's different. Like I can't say that that'd be no different than saying, okay, great, now they've got 60-40, gay marriage is now illegal. Abortion is now illegal.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think
it's like they'll say it was the law. It's finding the ability to get people to be on your side. Look, there are more Democrats in America than there are Republicans. Full stop.
Yeah.
But we don't live in the same 10 fucking cities.
Yeah.
That's not accurate either, right? That's not accurate either, right?
I mean, it's not accurate, but you get the point.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I just think that we can find a way to meet and find a common ground. And when you lose that ability or the willingness to do so, we all lose. The thing is, you cannot compromise with these people. You cannot rationalize. It's like trying to play chess with a fucking dog. It's not, hell, a dog could even do better. So instead of playing chess with them, make our board bigger, right? So we make our board bigger. Like to me, the issue with the ultra progressives, like the AOCs and the folks that are in her camp it's dude, when you do that, you alienate a significant part of the country, right? You are in a politically safe district. Yeah. She ain't getting voted out of Brooklyn or wherever the hell she's from. She ain't getting voted out of it.
No chance.
So we have to find a way to attract other buyers to what we're selling. Like I said earlier, my clientele ain't the $35 client. I'm not saying that those are bad clients, but there is a trainer for them. And I may not be the best politician for the entire state, but I have other people that are in my political party where we can find common ground to pull them in. I'm not a farmer. In Delaware, there's a shit ton of farms. You would never think it, but there is, right? Delaware was a southern state, right? So there are Trump rednecks all over Delaware. But the question is, how can we find common ground? Do they want their kids to go to a good school? Do they want to get shot on the weekends? Right? Those are two things we can find common ground on with every human being in America. And if we can attack those things, we can bring in more people. I believe go ahead.
I believe that, but that is a bygone era. That was when I think the whole persuasion thing was still possible when we all agreed on the basic sets of facts and in a common reality.
That's a good point too.
But now we live in a reality where 60 or 70% of these people legitimately think that, well, maybe not 60 or 70%, but large amount of these people think that like Democrats are a fucking cabal and drink babies' blood Barack Obama is sticking up first. And you know, like where do you start with that?
And for a lot of people, they found that common ground, and that common ground is racism.
Yeah.
They're never gonna budge from that.
You're right.
They love it. They live it.
It draws too many people in.
Yeah, it confuses them. It makes them overlook the most reasonable things, which happen to be, yes, you know, great schools for our kids and all these other things. A person that has sense is going to see that as common ground, but racists don't have sense.
Speaking of that, I guess I'll start with ranting. We'll go around and then we can probably wrap it up. We've been talking for a while. This is again another great episode. What'd you think about? I guess I know now since we started with Hillary. What did you think about Kamala and her recent comments about immigrants as an immigrant yourself and coming from her as a child of legal immigrants, right?
Yes, and you know it's a tricky situation, but I definitely think that tone that they're striking, that's not it. That's not it. And, you know, I get the impulse to do it. And a lot of people are worried about immigration, whether rightfully so or not. But I think that as Democrats, like, there is a tone to strike. And just don't come here is not it. And now I'm not the one who can tell you what that right tone is. I have my own ideas, but nobody's paying me for them. So
right. I think I guess echoing Walter, who is clearly prepared to run for office. Echoing that tone, particularly as a VP. You got to follow like what you can't be out of step with the president, right? And he's trying to strike that, like you said, the tone that maybe us in the West don't necessarily like. What'd you say?
He practically said the same thing long ago. I'm pretty sure he said that like "don't come here" thing. So it's not like it was out of base. Like,
we don't want to hear that on the left. But then I look back, I just look at as somebody who's worked on campaigns, you know, kind of sort of looks at the politics of the situation rather than how they necessarily feel about an issue. I think it harkens back to when they said that they opposed defund the police, right? So whenever there was any kind of media appearance, whenever there was any kind of debate, it was their radical leftists who opposed defund the police, right? And of course, they could always respond with, no, we don't. Here we say we didn't oppose defund the police here, and here. And then it's not us, right?
Right.
It's like the farmer that Walter's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Or the apolitical person, right? Who doesn't really know anything about these issues. Who's saying like, I don't know what I know about that, but I know what they're saying about them believing it isn't the case. So with this, we know what happened with the midterms in 2018, right? It was hordes and caravans of people coming from Central America to overrun the border and take over, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely what this is building up towards, right? 100%. We can tell that that's what this is building up towards.
Yep.
And I think they're trying to head that off at the pass. As a Kamala fan, and I'll let you guys take it after this, I have with that and America is not a racist country. I'm very sensitive to how Black women are treated, particularly by white male media and et cetera. And I always try to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she's shown some political liability with both of those statements. And it's kind of sort of what you said, Rand. You get the politics behind it, but it's the tone, right? The tone is when they say it, it's immediately like, as a fan, I'm like, ooh, I wish you hadn't said that, right? Like it's like I get why you said it, but I wish you hadn't said it.
She has to say it because she's at work.
She has to say it.
We all say things at work that we don't mean.
Yeah. I know.
That's all that was. She knows it's racist.
Yeah.
He probably told her, like, you're gonna have to go out there and make a statement. She's probably like, oh,
Like, oh,
I know.
man, yeah, exactly.
So
Here we go. Smile.
America is not racist. I agree. That's a very poor statement. But the don't come here, I think that to me,
That was
it's
part of the
point.
smoke.
We
Yeah.
got a situation right now where we don't have enough federal judges to adjudicate the immigrants that we have here now.
Yeah.
If we adjust that now and make a process to citizenship easier, the Democratic base just increases so large where it doesn't matter. I am pro DC statehood and I'm pro Puerto Rico statehood because it changes the demographics of the Senate full stop forever and ever and ever. To me, all the efforts, fuck the filibuster. Give me DC and Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Well, guess how that's gonna happen?
Look,
yeah.
Right.
Right.
Enough people live there.
Guess the only way that's going to happen, literally.
Yeah. It have to be some sort of epiphany, right?
Yeah.
But we got infrastructure, right?
Have statehood.
We could. It's delicate.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. But if this infrastructure deal goes through, it goes to the Senate, it comes back to reconciliation, it's going to go up to 1.5 trillion from the 1 trillion.
Absolutely. You just need it passed. That's all you need.
Right.
Once it passes, it's a wrap.
Exactly. So, the question becomes then, what do the Republicans want by signing on to this bill?
Yeah.
But again, that's what I'm saying. It's like trying to play chess with a pig. They're pretty much saying 500 million or some bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not going to be enough.
They're not interested. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying they're clearly not interested in like anybody actually getting broadband internet or whatever. It's just Joe Biden is the illegitimate China stooge that was like cheated into office and you don't get shit.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to plug? Social media? Or is it anything like that?
What do I want to plug? I guess you can follow my Instagram.
Nice.
It's Count Oblivion.
Yeah.
Other than that, please vote in all elections.
Nice. You guys have anything else for him?
Great.
No, I'm just excited to see the Instagram because it sounds like you're living a very fun, incredible life.
Instagram, man. The pictures
I gotta look at some ideas where to travel next.
Blunts and fucking champagne on yachts and shit. I'm like, oh, we got work like that? What the fuck is going on?
There are no yachts. It was
It was a very nice boat.
boat, actually. You said?
It was a very nice boat.
It wasn't that nice. It was pretty small, but there was a cute ride.
Nice.
All right, that's what's up.
Anyway,
Randy, thank you for giving us your time. Really appreciate it.
You guys are awesome. I definitely would like to come back and do this again.
Again, you will. We're actually gonna have a panel of all of our guests. Gonna have you guys sit down and tackle a bunch of fucking issues. So you'll definitely be invited back for that too. Guys, thanks again for watching the Brothers and Sisters podcast this week. It's 11:25, so us old people are gonna have to go to bed. I'm not even gonna attempt to edit this tonight. It'll probably be tomorrow.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Walter, Autumn, Nicole, thank you once again. Nicole, New Jersey, had to take an emergency call at 11 o'clock. Wonder what emergency that was, but we'll find out at some point. Everybody take care.
You never know with kids, man.